I'm that bull in the hood. New lamb truck got the bull in the hood. Black and red looking like the bulls hit the hood. 23s, oh, they got the bull sitting good. This game 6, this can't miss. Shooting my shot, wrist hang swish.
What time is it? Game time!
Welcome back, Bulls Nation, to another episode of the Nothing But Bull podcast. I'm your host, Derek, and as always, I'm here with my main man, Justin. What's going on?
Nothing much. What's going on? Always hyped after a win.
And we have Melissa. How's it going?
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
And we got my boy John back. First time since we changed it up and gone to YouTube. What's up, John?
Bulls Nation, what's going on? I am not one for videos, so this is very tough for me. But I'll try my best. I promise.
I mean, what's so hard to try? I mean, we're fresh off a win.
Right? Oh, exactly. Not only a win, but a win against the Eastern Conference champions, 37-point swing. I'll be honest, I was about to turn off the game. Like
After the
I was
first
like, if
break.
it's like this, if it was like halftime and we're still down by 20, 19, whatever, that's it. But I'm glad I hung in there. Well worth it.
You came correct with the hat, though.
Absolutely. Back to back, baby.
See you.
I'll never forget that night. Stacey King was a big part of that.
What do you
Sure.
remember from it? What the-
Stacey King was a big part of the Game 6 comeback, down 15. Phil
Scotty.
Jackson. Yep, it was Stacey King, Scottie Pippen, Bobby Hansen, B.J. Armstrong, and Scott Williams, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Scott Williams.
And Bulls came back. I think they had like a 10-0 run. They inserted Jordan back in the game about 4 minutes later, and the rest is history. That's it.
So yeah, the NBA season has started since our last episode, and Justin was at the first game against Miami. We got a win there. I mean, Justin, how was your live experience at the Heat Arena?
Well, first of all, like just getting down there was like a story because I left late. So, it's probably about like 4.5 hours, 4 hours, 45 minutes, give or take. So just getting down there, I thought that I was going to have some difficulty because from when I last left Miami, like all of the traffic in Miami was like always crazy, especially when you're heading deep into Miami. But as I was getting closer, I realized that the only person who was driving like they were crazy was me. Like everybody else was chill on the road, but I was the one who was like kind of racing down there. But everything worked out smooth. It was great being in the arena, even though I was I missed like most of the first quarter. But and I was wondering, like, am I gonna find like really any Bulls fans for this like home opener for the Heat? But like found a bunch of fans, a lot of good people that I talked to. When I got down there, because I was like anxious about trying to meet up with Stacey and trying to meet up with Chuck, it was funny because I was trying to like get my whereabouts, and Derek, I was talking to you, trying to figure out where they were recording from, and I was like going around the arena, but nobody really knew like where to direct me. So finally, they like showed me this area, and it happened to be right where I was sitting. And so like they directed me to this security guy, and the security guy's name was Jesus. And like it kind
His
of
name was Jesus.
Yeah, his name was Jesus. And because
Jesus.
I lived in Miami,
I was just gonna say that.
that's the thing. Like he said Jesus, and then I said, "Oh, you mean Jesus?" And he's like, "No, Jesus." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he's like,
He asked him if he's sure about his name.
Like my name that I was born with, or yes, I'm sure my name is Jesus. So then he was like, "Oh, like here's where they're videoing right now. So like you can go on up." And I was like, "Well, it looks like they're still like recording. Like, are you sure it's okay?" He's like, "I'm the head of security in this section. Of course it's okay. I just told you that it's okay. Like you questioned me with my name being Jesus. Now you questioning me with my credentials." And then I thought about it. I was like, am I really questioning Jesus? Like when Jesus gives you the go, like you need to listen and you just need to go. Like you shouldn't question Jesus. So like that was that was my little story that I had when I was down there. But it was exciting being there because no one, as I was listening on the radio, no one was expecting us to come out of that with a win, and especially like the way we handled Miami on their home opener, it was pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, I mean, DeMar did his thing. Ayo was great. Got a win. Didn't turn out like that when me and John went to the DC game.
We were robbed.
Yeah, they
We were
cheated us.
robbed. Yes.
From the Kobe 3 that they took away where he was not out of bounds, and they didn't even like show a replay of it. They came over the PA and the announcer was like, correction to the score, Wizard player out of bounds. So they took the 3 away from the Wizard score. Like 2 minutes later, he comes, correction to that. Kobe White was ruled out of bounds on the 3, and then you just see the 3 get taken away from the Bulls, and it's added to the Wizards. And we're just like, what are they talking about? There's no replay, nothing. They just took the points away, said he was out of bounds. And then DeMar was fouled on that game-winning shot. Wasn't called.
I was
Can you
confused.
imagine if
I
go
didn't
ahead.
see the game, but like, was that a play that wasn't reviewable? Like, how did that go about with like the whole entire Kobe 3?
I think John, the 3 was what in the first quarter, and then sometime in the second quarter, they're just like, oh, he was out of bounds. And at first
Something
they said
along
it was
those
a
lines,
Wizard
yeah.
player, and then they
That's
came
right.
back on and said no, it was Kobe White. And we're just like, huh?
At that point, I was telling myself, did I drink too many shots before? Like, I was a bit confused at that moment. I'm like, that can't be real. But since you mentioned it, and I'm thinking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that did happen.
So wait, they took 3 quarters to watch a replay to go back and fix something that was incorrect? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he made a 3 in the first quarter. Second quarter comes around a bit into it, and they said it was a Wizard player that was out of bounds on the 3. And then they came back over and they were like, no, correction, it was Kobe White who was out of bounds during the 3, and they took 3 points away from us. They showed us nothing. And we're just like, wait, what 3? What are you talking about? And I've seen like the picture on Twitter, and his foot is clearly in bounds. So the DC did not want us to win in DC on their home opener.
They didn't want that, no.
And
there
their
were more
Jordan
Bulls
era
fans.
throwbacks.
And there were more Bulls fans there than Wizards fans, as always. As always.
As always. It's like I just don't understand how that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it was for Bulls fans, they're than Wizards fans, which is normal for the Capital One Arena. They keep changing the name of that arena so many times.
MCI Center, Verizon Center, now Capital One Arena.
John calls it the phone booth.
Well, it was the phone booth when it was the Verizon Center, but now I guess it's the bank.
So good thing about us knowing like that arena and where Stacey does sit, we were able to find Stacey. Was able to find Stacey, chat with him for a bit.
There it is. There's the man, the myth, the legend, the Golden Pipes.
Yeah, the good thing about it was, I seen somebody tweet Stacey like a day or two before asking for a picture because their son's a big fan. And I immediately DM'd the guy and I'm like, just DM me when you're there. I know where Stacey is. I'll make sure, your son gets a picture with him.
Oh, that's nice.
And he was so starstruck meeting Stacey. It was just an awesome sight to see. So I was glad to make that happen. Shout out to Fitz. He said he's a subscriber for life now, so guessing he's tuning into this episode.
That's awesome. I did not know that you orchestrated that.
Yep.
That's awesome. I do remember seeing him. The Caruso jersey caught my eye, so.
Yeah.
Nice job there, Derek. And that Stacy's good people. Like for him to like take the time out to do that, that's really solid.
Yeah.
He's been, I've met up with him. I've seen him so many times since 2008. And every time I see him, he's just been so nice. Just the most humble person.
Yeah, John was ready to invite him to come out with us after the game, but he had to fly
One day.
right out. Man.
One day. Hey, we gotta pull for the Bulls and Wizards to meet up in the playoffs at some point, because then he'll be stuck here for 3 days or so, 3 or 4 days. And that will be our time
That's
to-
the opportunity.
that is our opportunity, yes, when that happens. By the way, I did go. Did you go, Derek, to the Bulls Wizards playoff games 3 or 4 when we played them in 2014?
Yep.
I
Yes.
went to the game 4, and that was the game I believe where Nene. Yeah, I think it was game 4, but I know it was the game where Nene and Jimmy basically butted heads with each other, and Mike Dunleavy hit that big 3 at the end.
Yep.
That was a time I think I only saw like 10 other Bulls fans in the whole arena. That place was a ruckus, just all Wizards fans, fake Wizards fans, bandwagoners, because they're not there during regular season games, but playoffs come. Oh, I'm a Wizards fan now.
There's like 5, probably 5 actual Wizard fans. I feel sorry for them, but like I said, Stacy had to get right back on the plane because the Bulls had to go and compete on a back-to-back for their home opener, which NBA scheduling is done by monkeys. Mel, you were there for that game. Not a fun one.
I don't have too much to say about that game. It was fun, got to see my friends. We were there for the home opener. Energy was great. Unfortunately, the Cavs decided to put on an offensive clinic that day on us. But it's cool though. I mean, the energy in the UC was cool.
At first, right? At first it was.
At first.
First 6 or 7 minutes of the game, and then
Levine looked good. That was promising. Like
Yes.
it was nice to finally see him play. Obviously, for his first game of regular season, we're like, okay, his knee looks good. So that was promising.
yes.
We had no defense, no offense, no nothing. Kind of flat, but and we're not gonna blame the refs for this game. I mean, we didn't play well, but the refs, oh my goodness, we could not get a call. Like we see it live in action in our faces. Like our people are just getting hacked. No calls. And DeMar gets teed and kicked out. What? DeMar ejected from the game. DeMar? But
Yeah, he was tired. He was like, I'm done. Just let me go home.
it was embarrassing, the lack of calls. But again, we're not blaming this loss on the lack of calls by any means. But it was nice to be back at the United Center. It was nice to see.
I hope you were able to witness what happened last night.
Oh my goodness!
United
Of
Center.
course.
You were there?
No,
Are you
no.
a Bulls season ticket holder?
I wish.
Okay.
Not yet. Soon though. But yeah, the irony, right, of like we win against the Celtics and the Heat, and we lose against the other two. But what do you guys?
I would
think about that?
Asterisk.
I would much rather win against the 2 Eastern Conference finals contestants versus the Wizards and the Cavs. So and the thing is, you got to consider we're already 2-0 versus top tier teams. Last year, what were we, like 1-13?
Mm-hmm.
So we're already in a better start. It's a beautiful
And
thing.
we got to break their win streak too, the Celtics win streak.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
So what were some good things, like good, bad, ugly? Like what were some good positive things that you all noticed, like in between these first 4 games that stood out to you, like as far as their style?
Io played great yesterday. Io was, man, he looked great. He was a lot more aggressive. He was doing these pump fakes and stutter steps and stuff and being aggressive, taking the ball to the cup. So I love that. I love that a lot. That was great to see it, to a point where you you wouldn't even be so concerned if, by the time Zoe comes back, I was still starting here and there, just as like Zoe's ramping up. So that's something for me that was like a key takeaway, at least from last game. He played well another game too, but yesterday he was killing it.
Yeah, 22 points, 9 to 10 field goals, 6 rebounds, 6 assists.
Yep, 6 assists. Like,
Yeah,
three from three.
yeah.
man, he was feeling it.
And I really like the Goran Dragic acquisition. I really do.
Mhm.
I like how him and Drummond play together. They run that beautiful pick and roll. It's great to watch. Derek Jones Jr. That one play from Dragic to Drummond to Derek Jones Jr. was really nice as well.
Yeah, I liked Derek Jones Jr. getting some minutes.
Yes.
Didn't see him the first 2 games. Billy tried him a little bit in the third one, and he was the difference maker last night.
Mhm.
Knocked down some shots. He was all over the place defensively. He brought that energy with that second unit that played defensively, that had that huge swing. It wouldn't happen if Derek Jones Jr. wasn't out there with Javonte, because Javonte came in and it's 5 of them. So immediate impact energy.
It was great to watch.
And he got to the line 6 times yesterday, I think, too. DJJ. Like, he was
Yeah.
just being aggressive. He was beautiful. He brings the same type of energy that we get from Wu. So it was cool to see him get more minutes for sure. I agree with you.
Yeah, all of that stuff. A lot of good points. The one of the major things that stood out to me was just like the play of Vooch. And I'm not saying that he's been shooting the ball like so well, but just with them, his confidence seems to be totally different this year at the beginning of the year as opposed to what was going on last year. And just with the Bulls, a lot of the action that they were doing, like moving the ball around the perimeter, it seemed like it was always with the intent to try to establish Vooch down low. And especially in this last game, like it seemed like he was like playing on like an MVP level. Like he knew, I'm the tallest person on this court. I'm the biggest person on this court. I'm the most skilled person in the post right now on this court. And just watching him go to work and just be successful down low was like very encouraging to me.
I think he had like 23 rebounds
Yep.
yesterday?
Yeah. It's like second in the league in rebound.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's second in the league rebounds per game, and he's tied with Rudy Gobert for most rebounds in a single game, which was the 23 last night.
Mhm.
It was Vooch's birthday. He had the ball out.
He went nuts. He went nuts yesterday. And he was at the line 5. He had 5 free throws, I think.
He was 4 or 5 from the free throw line, but another thing that I liked about him, he put up 19 field goals. That means that he's being extremely assertive on offense. Instead of really settling for the 3 like he was doing a lot last year, he's really pounding it down low. A lot of those shots too are attributed to putbacks, tip backs and stuff like that. So really like the way Vooch is playing. He's playing like the Vooch from Orlando that we grew up watching play.
Yeah, and the thing is with him and his rebounding and his offensive skill set, when you couple that with also what Drummond brings to the table, like with his rebounding and his ability to like really solidify, everything down low, it really does add an element to this Bulls team that we just haven't seen in a very long time. Like there's not a significant drop off when you're going from Vooch to Drummond. And it's refreshing, really, seeing what we had last year as far as how I felt about the Tristan Thompson signing before. Yeah, you've heard my rants on that many, many times. But just seeing like what he's able to provide for this Bulls team. Remember last year, this was a team that had to do a lot of gang rebounding. And when you have him coming in and grabbing those reboundings and taking up space, the Bulls are able to get out in their transition and start their offense a lot quicker, which is going to really, really help them in their offensive flow. Even like when we're looking at the shots that DeMar was taking, he had some great one-on-one plays, but they were getting into the rhythm of the offense very early on. I think, I think it was like the first game when I was watching DeMar, if I count it correctly, there were like 4 of his shots that he made that came with less than 8 seconds left on the clock. Whereas opposed to with his other shots, they were coming with at least about 12, 13 seconds left on the clock. So I really am liking like the offense that I'm seeing from right now. And I think a good amount of that also has to go to a good amount of credit should go to Billy with the way he's been running things for them, trying to get that identity working for them.
I love how Billy coached yesterday. He did great. Like he was doing great with the rotations, experimenting and stuff, and staggering. It was just he did amazing. I thought he did amazing. I thought he did great coaching yesterday. And I know a lot of it probably has to do with the fact that we have depth now too. Like we're pretty deep. We got a deep squad now, but just to see that is really great too, giving people a rest and being able to find out who's working well with who and actually making those changes. And when it's not working, there's something actually being done. We're not just sticking with the same lineup. And also, how did you feel about Pat playing those first 6 minutes and then not coming back in again until basically we were pretty much solidified the win? What do you guys think about that?
Pat is the invisible man right now. Like, I'm just saying, like, the starters yesterday, I think it was 25, 23, 19, 18 points, and then Pat's 4.
And not only that, but he was also a -9 on the plus minus. That's very telling.
And yeah, I'm like, I liked Billy's coaching yesterday. I felt like he actually coached for the first time this season yesterday. But yeah, Pat has been like, he's been invisible out there. He's just not aggressive at all. And then he tried to be aggressive yesterday, and the minutes he got taking shots, but they weren't falling. And I don't know. People say Billy needs to run plays for him, and you don't have to do that for like Javonte. Javonte's running around without the basketball. He's cutting. Same with Derrick Jones Jr. He came in the game. He's just running around. He's cutting. He's moving without the ball. But I said a few episodes ago, Javonte just a better fit with the starters, and I'd rather Pete Will come off the bench and bring him off the bench at small forward. Don't put him at power forward. Bring Derrick Jones Jr. in at power forward. You don't have to have these guys play out of position if Pat comes off the bench, because he's not a power forward. He's just not. He's not aggressive enough to be a power forward. And they say Billy needs to call plays for him. Okay, that's half of it, because Billy could call plays for certain players to get them easier shots, because Pat can only be so aggressive. Like, you saw him taking shots when they were bricking, because he's cold. He's not going to get many opportunities with Zach and DeMar and Vooch out there to get the ball. So unless you are running some type of play to get him into an easy position to score, he's going to be cold. It's not much aggressiveness he can do. That's not his nature. Like, bring him off the bench. That makes it easier for him, and it makes it easier for the team not to have these slow starts, because Vooch, Zach, DeMar, Ayo, Pat are all like chill type of people. They're chill. I mean, yeah, DeMar is a killer when he needs to be in like the fourth quarter, and he needs to take over a game. But starting out, everybody's just kind of chilling, and DeMar is trying to get other people involved. That's where you bring in Javonte, who's going to just give you energy from the jump to offset that. And we're not falling behind 15, 17 points in the first quarter, because we were behind big every single game we played. We were able to come back into it.
We were down like 18, 19 in the first quarter.
Yeah, we were down. Yesterday we were down 18. No, we were down
We
19.
got
Yep.
to within
Came back
one.
and won by 18
Yeah, 19.
after Billy brought in the bench unit with Zach on the floor. There was energy, there was defense. You just can't have relaxed players all on the court at the same time and wonder why, oh, we're down 18, we're down 15. What's going on? Nobody's has that energy and that urgency to go out and play defense. Even Pat, who's supposed to be one of our better defenders, nobody's giving him that energy out there. And energy is contagious, it's infectious. Why you see Javante came in, Derrick Jones Jr. comes in, there's energy. Everybody's all of a sudden playing defense, and we're back in the game. So, yeah, bench Pat.
Do you guys think it was more of a message to Pat, or is it also more of a credit to DJJ and Wu, or do you think it's like a mix of both? And what do you think that's going to do for his do you think that's going to help his confidence at all being on the bench? I know we've already heard him say in the interviews and stuff, but like, what do you guys think about all that?
I think it's a mixture of both. But like, I'd like to answer your question, like, we're just going back to something like taking a side step back. You mentioned like the depth of this team. And it occurred to me as I was like looking at, you know, the comeback, and I was looking at our expectations or thinking about the expectations for Pat. It made me think about on this team with the bench that we have as presently like constituted, and if guys even come back, like if we get Ball back, the bench has a chance to really kind of average like 35 points per game, like just like with the input that we are seeing from those players. Then it got me to thinking about what is it that we're expecting from Pat, because when you have your star players and you look at the breakdown of an NBA team, you have to have the guys who are getting paid the most doing the majority of the heavy lifting. So we need for Zach, we need for DeMar, we need for Vooch, and even Alonzo when he comes back. Those have to be your main guys. So when you're thinking about like what Pat needs to bring, like Derek brought up energy, and yes, that is a big thing. But it got me to thinking that if he needs to like go to the bench, it's not as big of a deal as maybe what we're making it out to be as fans who want the most from Pat. I don't know that Pat can do what we want him to do with that team. Now, granted, he is having, like he mentioned, like how it's hard playing the stars and you want to get those guys involved. I don't know if Pat goes to a different team, he's not going to play with a bunch of stars who are as giving with the ball as the guys that we have on our team, because all of those guys that we mentioned before are willing to give up the ball. But if it allows Pat to like develop going to the bench, if it allows him to get some confidence, I'm all for it, because with the way this team is put together, we don't necessarily need as much from Pat as I don't want to say we don't need as much, but like what our expectations are versus what we actually need for the team with what Javante is bringing in, or Derrick Jones Jr. with their energy. That is what the starting lineup kind of needs. That bench mob, as we were looking at, you know, it can go with whoever is the hot hand. And when you think about Pat's, you know, his makeup coming from that Florida State, you know, team in college, is a guy who's not used to being the guy. Like, let's just we might as well just like get that through our thick skulls. He's not a guy who is interested right now in his career path of being the main guy or being the, you know, the go-to scorer. He might develop into that, but if he's not, then I guess for right now, you know, that's fine. But if he goes to the bench and just kind of adds on to what that bench is doing, like just coming out and playing, like that's what I'm seeing from that bench. They're just coming out and just doing their thing. So if that allows Pat to somehow, you know, grow as a player, but also let him just focus on just the simple things of just running, cutting, I'm all for it. And as long as we keep winning, I don't really care, because even when you think about the power forward position anyway, like how many great power forwards are there that are leading the NBA or leading their teams and doing anything from that position. So I think from our standpoint, we might want to like just temper expectations just a little bit, allow him that time to develop because right now the team doesn't necessarily need him coming in and dominating. So, if it gives him the confidence that he needs to come out there and produce, I'm all for it because it's a long season anyway.
I mean, if you start off with Ayo, who's shown that he is a starting level point guard with his play, you got to worry about Zach and DeMar. Vooch is down low. You can't leave him. And then you have a mismatch because you have 5 Javantes. So we're playing with more players than they have if you start Javante because of his energy and he's running around. Then on the bench, you bring in AC, Kobe, Pat, Derrick Jones Jr., and Drummond. And then you can kind of rotate Kobe and AC with Dragic. Not many teams can compete with that level of depth if you use these players right. And I said before, like, Pat's not that guy, and that's okay. That's okay. That's just not him. We talked to his brother last episode, and he said he liked Pat off the bench better. Is just the better fit for the team. It's not, oh, let's get rid of Pete Will. He's trash. No, he's not a starting power forward that this team needs. Maybe some other team would be okay with him starting a power forward, but this team, he's not needed as a starting power forward. Let him do the intangibles. Go out there and play defense. Rebound. You don't have to come in and drop 15 points. But do something because he's just out there these last couple games.
It was pretty telling, like, because I haven't been to an NBA game live in years, but just seeing up close, like, I'm watching the team, playing very well against Miami, but for some reason my eyes just kept gravitating towards Pat, and I kept like, I was like on the verge of like, okay, do something. Okay, he's gonna do something right now. Oh, like he's good, and it just didn't happen. Like I just saw a player that just kept relegating himself into the corner. Like he would just run down the court and immediately it was like he had the best seat in the house because he's just running down the court and just watching everybody else play. And like, his hands were up a couple of times, but he wasn't really necessarily engaged with what was going on. And even from a defensive standpoint, there were some plays, like you mentioned, like he only played 6 minutes. Part of that was like his defensive intensity. There was a bunch of like times where he got like on the pick and roll, like just simple pick and rolls. Like he took poor angles, wasn't fighting over screens correctly. And Billy did what you need to do. You need to sit his behind down, go look from the bench at what everybody else is doing, get your mind right. He brought him back in, and of course it was for mop-up duty, but like just to get his mind thinking like, okay, what are these other guys doing? What are they bringing to the table? Oh, they're not calling a play for Javante or for DJJ, but they're still being able to be active, like getting to the basket. All of those things are things that Pat can do, and he has the athletic ability to do it at a high level. But if he doesn't recognize that when he's on that starting unit, then he's not really doing the Bulls any kind of service. So it's better for him to go to that bench role, learn, watch, observe, and just come back in with a better mind frame.
What do you think about Pat, John?
Well, I don't want to give up on him yet, but I do think the 6-man role, maybe coming off the bench, is a better fit for him. You look at Florida State when he played there 1 year, he was, I believe, 6th man of the year. So he's definitely got the capability. I think his main problem is it's all mental. I think he's worried about stepping on toes. If he's out there and DeMar's out, Zach LaVine, Vucevic, he can put up 25, 30 points easy. He's got that capability. I think for him, it's all a mindset. And I don't know if that's something he's ever going to be able to get through. He might be, and that's okay. If he's a guy that comes off the bench and gives you, 15, 20 minutes of solid production, hustle and stuff like that, and scoring when needed, then that's okay too. But yeah, I think at this point, it's best to start Javonte Green.
Okay, like the main problem is he was the fourth pick. And
Yep.
that's what people are looking at. Like, oh, for a fourth pick, this guy is a bust. He's terrible. Billy said it's not his fault. He was taken fourth. And
right.
it's not. But we can't have those expectations of a fourth pick being that guy for Pat, at least right now, because he's still young. He's what, 20, 21, just now can legally drink. Like, give him some time to grow, but he needs to be on the bench until he shows more.
But the thing is, it's like it's a problem for us, and not like it's like number 4 pick. So what? Like, I don't care. Ayo, second round pick. Ayo's coming out there and balling. I don't care if Ayo was the second round pick. Just go out there and ball. Who cares where you were picked? And it's funny, like we have these expectations because people look at other people who came after Patrick, and like Tyrese Halliburton. Yes, Tyrese Halliburton has had some amazing games, or I won't even say amazing. He's had a really solid beginning for his early career. But we also forget Halliburton was traded from a very poor Kings team. He was put in situations on a bad team to be able to just go out there and showcase your talent. I wouldn't say that Halliburton has really like manufactured a whole bunch of wins on the prospective teams that he's been on. So like all of these like different expectations that people have about who was picked there and whatever means absolutely nothing. It's just a matter of guys just coming in there and playing with confidence. Because if we were to go back and redraft a lot of these different draft classes, things would be totally different. Like even you looking at Vooch. Vooch was I forget the center. Like he played for the Andrew Bynum. Yeah, Vooch was a backup to Andrew Bynum. So I mean, when you're looking at like Vooch's career and Andrew Bynum's career, like I know Bynum had he won a championship with the Lakers, but I think overall, when you're looking at the numbers that have been put up between the two of them, Vooch has had a better career. So, it doesn't matter about this whole entire thing of where guys were drafted. We have to learn how to, and I don't mean like everybody on this show, but I mean we, the fans, we have to get over where somebody was drafted and just, accept players. Like if you're coming in and you're adding like some type of element to the team that transfers over into winning, none of that stuff matters. But the thing is, Pat needs to actually start helping this team win. And the best position for him to actually do that for right now, it just happens to be in that bench role.
Yeah, Justin, to be fair, I could enter the NBA right now and have a better career than Andrew Bynum. That guy's one of the worst players ever.
Hey, at
He had a
some
couple,
point,
3
he
years
was
good.
considered probably like the second best center in the NBA, which is not saying that much because we were like, there weren't a whole bunch of centers that were around during that time period, but I'm just saying.
What do you guys thoughts on Kobe in the first 4 games? Male.
Yeah.
What is you know?
What is that?
I mean, I don't know. I do see him doing a little bit better on defense for sure versus last year. There's definitely more effort there. Like at the end of the day, with everybody, including Pat, I know we just moved on from Pat, but like I just want to see like the intensity, the energy, the effort, energy and effort. At the very minimum, the energy and effort. Everything else will come after that. But he has worked on his defense. I do notice that. Of course, it would be great if we could still count on him for these shots. That's what he's here to do. Other than that, I don't know. I think when Zoe comes back, I don't know where Kobe's minutes are going to go between all the guards that we have.
Well, hopefully Lonzo Ball comes back in time for the trade deadline and can use him as trade bait. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, it
No
was like his
stupid
minutes.
play.
I was going to say his minutes are going to be on another team.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but
Matter
we
of fact,
gotta
I think
give
that's the
him
only
some
reason
credit.
he's still on the team because Lonzo's out.
Give him some credit. There have not been those stupid like Kobe fouling the 3-pointer. Like we haven't seen that. I know it's the beginning of the year, but we haven't seen a lot of like just bad plays from Kobe.
It's just chaotic. I feel like it's just chaotic. Like, I don't think anything he does is like deliberate. Like anything, like I feel like nothing he does has purpose. It's just like all over the place, like just chaotic. Like whatever happens, happens. Like he's like let him loose like a chihuahua, like running around in the park, going crazy. Like I don't feel like he does anything deliberately. That's how I feel. Sorry, that came out.
It's funny you said that because you said he played better defense. So you're saying he accidentally played better defense?
No, that's probably the only thing I really want to give him credit for is him playing better defense this year. I can see that he worked on his game defensively.
You're definitely right. You're definitely right about that, Mel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely better defensively. Streaky as always. But that kind of goes back to Billy. Like, if I ask each of you, what is the Bulls' offensive game plan? Nobody has an answer. That's
No,
that's
there's
concerning.
There's none.
You know what?
None.
That's an interesting question. I think, and this goes back. You remember, like, I don't know if you all saw, like, when I put on the, I was answering some kind of question, and I said, with the Bulls coming back from that deficit versus the Celtics last night, we should not have been surprised by that. And I meant to say that like the Celtics right now, they're kind of like stuck into finding out what their identity is. Like the Celtics have a bunch of guys who are scorers who can shoot. They think that they're shooters who can score. There's like a total difference. They haven't, and that's why you saw with like them jacking up a whole bunch of 3-point shots. That's not necessarily something that's within their identity as a team. And also on the other side of that, defensively, they've been giving up a good amount of points to begin the start of the year. I think this Bulls team is in that same sense trying to find their identity. Zach didn't start the first couple of games. So they're really trying to work things coming through Vooch and developing him down low. And we seem to find a rhythm between Vooch, DeMar getting his shots when, you know, the offense breaks down, but like a lot of intensity also from Ayo. This is going to be a work in progress over I'd say the first 20 games, trying to understand what they do best and trying to figure it out. It's a totally new game plan that Billy has put in. I love the fact that the ball has been moving around. Everybody is involved except for Patrick. He's starting, but everybody is pretty much involved. And I think that this offense is still in the early stages of trying to find out what their identity is and what they do best. But I'll tell you from last year, you know, the Bulls are down in that deficit. That's not a game that they come back and win. But they won it because they were actually staying true to their identity. You had a big man on the court who was bigger and stronger and better than anybody else. Find him, get him the ball, and good things are going to happen for your perimeter players. And I think that that's what the Bulls are in the early stages of finding out. Like, we can really be successful if we work our offense through Vooch. And I think that that's something it's going to take them some time to figure that out with Zach coming back and, you know, the situation with his health. But I think it's still a work in progress.
Yeah. The Bulls' game plan is run. Get out and run. That's what Billy does. He's not an X's and O's coach. So his thing is play defense, get out and run on transition. You guys get stuck, throw it to DeMar or Zach. They have to bail us out because Billy is not drawing up half-court plays. He wants them to get out and run, which is why they went out and got Lonzo. Because who's better at getting the team out running better than Lonzo Ball, who can throw the ball from one end of the basket to the other on a fast break. The problem is with doing that, he's not drawing up plays to help his players get good quality shots like Patrick and Kobe. Kobe's role is to come in and be a fire starter, but he's coming in cold every time. That's why he's so streaky. If Billy, drew up a couple plays for Kobe, like put him in a pick and roll, let him get a couple twos in first, and not just expected him to come in and start jacking up threes, maybe Kobe's not that streaky. Maybe he doesn't look like a chihuahua just running around doing stuff on accident because he knows, okay, this plays for me. I'm going to go in and get an easy bucket, and then my 3-game will open up. No, it's get the ball, run. And doing this also is why the Bulls were like dead last in rebounds last year, because you want everybody to get out and run. Nobody's crashing the board. You got Vooch down there, and then there's 4 other players from the other team trying to get the rebound. That's why we weren't getting rebounds last year. And surprisingly, Vooch got a lot of offensive rebounds last night. Brought in Drummond for rebounds, but that's still, you're depending on one of those two at all times to be down there, and everybody else is leaking out because you want the team to run, because you're not a good enough coaches with X and O's to draw up plays in the half court. And then we sit here and we wonder why Patrick's not scoring. Kobe, why does he keep shooting threes? Vooch, why is he out at the 3-point line right now? Because you want to leave space for DeMar, because if we don't get a fast break, you got to probably give it to DeMar and let him work something in the mid-range. So my issue a lot more than anybody on the team is with Billy.
I agree. I'm with you. That's why a lot of times it's just like they lack composure because, again, there's no setting up of any play. It's just chaotic.
Exactly. It's chaotic.
Yeah, and we always have to. It's not as bad, I don't think, so far in these last 4 games. It's only 4 games, but not as bad as last season. I am seeing some really nice ball movement here and there. They had like DJJ and Wu were setting like these hard screens, which is really nice. I'm seeing some more pick and roll versus last year, but there is definitely a lot of room for improvement. As you said, there aren't any plays getting drawn up. When you asked us that question, crickets. It's true.
Right. That's like, he's not drawing up these plays, and it's so chaotic because when the Bulls aren't getting the rebound or running out and there's no plays, that's when these other teams start going on runs. And then they're trying to score like quickly to stop the run because Billy is not calling the timeout when he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
Even last night, I felt like Billy coached very good last night. He was still a play behind a couple times and calling a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it was Tatum hit a 3 right over Vooch. No timeout. They get the ball back, then knock down another 3. That's when he calls a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been called as soon as Jason Tatum just shoots over Vooch and drills a 3. you need a timeout right there because I just shot over your center, and it's not like I was wide open. He was right there. I shot over your center. I made a three. We're cutting into your lead. You guys lost to the Cavaliers and the Wizards. We were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Why wouldn't I think that we're about to make this comeback because your coach is calling a timeout? And I'm screaming like, Billy, call a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of those points are fair, but also like when you're looking at the wins that the Bulls have had this year, short year, obviously, they've still been getting more assists than the other teams. And I understand like we might be like, well, why isn't he calling plays? But then I have to ask myself, well, when we were getting like DJJ more involved in the pick and roll action, or like with Javante like going out and doing his thing, is that really like the coach who's doing that, or is that just players recognizing when they have certain mismatches to take advantage of? Like I was saying before, with them establishing Vooch down low, and not just establishing Vooch, you saw Ayo who was going hard to the basket. Why were they doing that? They didn't have any center that was any type of a shot blocker who was posing any type of threat. And yes, you can ask your coach to like draw up plays, but also we also need to accept the fact that this Bulls team is getting better players who are more mindful, who like have a better understanding of how to play this game. Like I remember like I was talking to my dad one time because he played college ball. And I was asking him like, how did you get better? And he's like, well, obviously you go out there and you practice, but he said, Justin, it's a simple game. Put the ball in the hoop, So like, I think we put some of this like pressure on Billy, and some of it is rightfully deserved as far as like calling timeouts before like a lead gets out of hand when you're coming from behind. But it needs to be put on those players, and I like. From what I'm seeing, the players are getting more involved with taking more ownership of, recognizing mismatches. There were too many times, and not just from Vooch, but from other players who have been on this team before DeMar got there, or not DeMar, but from Billy got there. When you have a mismatch, go to the mismatch. Too many times last year and too many times on other teams, we saw players who would see that there was a smaller player on them. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to take advantage of this guy who I have, a bigger advantage on. Like, it doesn't make any sense to not go to your mismatches. And you see good teams who are doing that. And I think that we're seeing a lot more success with them for right now because we've upgraded the players who actually can execute and who can go out there and recognizing those things on themselves. And I'm not giving Billy a pass because there are definitely things that he can work on, but I think we also need to recognize that these players need to take some ownership with that too.
I mean, yeah, but there are players that don't need plays called for them. There are players that do.
Correct.
Patrick does. Kobe does.
Yeah, it can't always be like, we can't always be reactive. Like for sure the talent's there and they are recognizing their skills and what their weaknesses and strengths are. Like we saw Vooch playing big because he recognized the mismatch, but it can't always be reactive. Like we also have to have things in place too for, as Derek said, for other people that need those plays drawn up. It's just what it is. It's what coaching's all about.
I tried, Billy, you're fired.
I know. I overall, though, as I said, I'm very impressed with Billy's coaching last night. I was very pleased with it.
Yeah, he didn't have to go and use the Michael Jordan strategy with DeMar, which is get the ball to DeMar and get out the way. Mm-hmm. That's what he does a lot of the times.
Correct.
I mean, that was the old Doug Collins. Get the ball to Jordan and get out the way. Like, everybody just move.
But also, in fairness, we've seen, like you mentioned, like getting plays called for Kobe. Kobe's missed a good amount of wide open shots. You gotta you have to like, okay, like if you get a shot and you're open, you got to execute that. And that goes back to what you were talking about before, Mel, with like just like seeing consistency from these players. Like you're getting a shot, so when you're open, you got to like nail it, because at the end of the day, this is a job that you're getting paid a good amount of money to do, to execute. Even if you're getting those limited opportunities, you got to knock down some open shots too. So, I think it's a process, but I kind of like what I'm seeing from this process early on. That's all I would say.
Like, yeah, Kobe's getting open shots, but he's cold. Why? No play is called for him just to go in and get an easy bucket. He's just immediately on wide open 3. And it's a brick because he hasn't taken anything else. This is the first. He's in a catch and shoot situation. He's not even dribbling the ball to get a feel of the ball. He's catch, shoot. Most of the times it's a brick, and he's wide open because he's cold.
I see that.
He needs a jump start. Get this man some jumper cables.
Give him a Snickers bar.
Kobe handling the ball more. Is that what you're saying? Like you want Kobe dribbling the ball more? Because I don't.
Yes, not in the sense of like driving, doing things like that, but catch a couple dribbles. Like if he can like dribble to the side of the defender and shoot, they usually go in. He's a lot better in that situation than he is just catching and shooting.
Mentally knowing that this play is being drawn up for him, like he's mentally prepared for it versus just the catch and shoot. And we pray, we throw up him.
Well, see, that's the thing. The Bulls need a BJ Armstrong type of player, catch and shoot, and that's what they want. That's what they want Kobe to be, because that's what we need. But he's not that. That is not what he is.
It's
that's all we wanted him to do. Like why?
Yeah, catch and shoot. Be a BJ Armstrong.
That's all we wanted.
Like
I thought we would have come out at off season.
Even if you look at the 3 Javonte made last night, he caught it and took 2 dribbles. Splash.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Catching the ball and just going up with it. And when that's like your first touch of the ball in the game, you're probably going to miss it.
Not Steph Curry.
Okay, but in all fairness, and I hear what you're saying, Javonte is not a shooter.
But he knocked it down.
Work on that. Like Kobe, like he has been known to be that person who's scoring and, can catch fire. But we've seen Kobe with the ball in his hands, and it has not been very good. And I understand, like, you want to get certain actions with Kobe getting involved. And I did think in that last game, or it might not have been that last game, but it was one of the games like Kobe, like you did see some action with Kobe getting to the basket and, a lot more confidence in that area. But at the same instance, it's like whatever. I feel like I'm like going up, trying to swim upstream on this one. Like Kobe needs to execute when he's out there, and I think it can be a little bit of both too. Like it can be Billy trying to get him more involved, but it can also be when Kobe is out there. Like as Melissa said, like he needs to think more. Like if you have the ball and you see an area where you can get to the basket instead of just chucking up a 3-pointer. I don't think that's Billy Donovan being like, okay, Kobe, when you get in there and you get the ball, the first time you touch the ball, just chuck up a 3-pointer instead of like actually running a play and trying to get within the teeth of the defense. We see Ayo getting into the teeth of the defense, and we're talking like people mentioned.
Ayo's a lot better with the ball.
Like completely different skill set.
Ayo's a lot better with the ball.
Yeah.
Kobe has short arms. He has dinosaur arms.
T-Rex.
So that and that's like going off of what you're saying. If he has these short arms and you're saying that it's hard for him getting to the basket, what do you want Billy to do besides those catch and shoot opportunities where he's not going to get the ball taken away from him or blocked?
Have somebody set a pick. He dribbles to the side, shoots. That is that simple.
I think
he
it's more.
I don't want him driving because He has short arms. That's why his dribble has always been so high. And me and you've talked about his high dribble. It's because his arms are short. He can't go down low with the ball.
It's Chris Paul. Chris Paul doesn't have long arms either.
Chris Paul is a point guard. This is Kobe White we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know about these comparisons. I mean, Iowa was bad enough. Now you went to Chris Paul. I don't know. We got to scale down these expectations.
I'm not saying that he's Chris Paul, but I am saying that when Kobe
And Chris Paul trained him.
we have seen plenty of scenarios in Kobe's career, and this is not just like with Donovan. And I'm not like even wanting to go back to that other coach who should not be named, but we've seen plenty of opportunities where Kobe has the ball in his hands, and even just coming off of the screen, he is not consistent with knocking the shot down. He needs to develop consistency. Like if you want the coach to call plays for you, you actually need to be consistent at something. And there's not anything that I've seen from Kobe that warrants anything with them calling plays for him because he's not consistent. We have faith in Javonte because Javonte consistently attacks the rim. He's shot that 3-point shot. He's getting better at it, which is why people are putting faith in him and why you see these plays that are working for him. Kobe needs to play better. And I get like we want to get him involved in everything. He needs to play better. That's just, we've all agreed to that. Kobe just needs to be more consistent.
Okay.
Don't back down.
You said Patrick, he wasn't doing anything, and Billy rightfully yanked him out, right?
Yeah.
Kobe, first possession, jacks up a 3. Does Billy sit him down? No, because Billy wants him to shoot. He has the green light to shoot. He and Zach are like our only reliable 3-point shooters right now with Zoe out. So he has the green light to shoot. That's why he's going to shoot. That's what Kobe does. He like Kobe. He thinks he's Kobe.
I don't know if that's necessarily like he has the green light, or as like his spot in the rotation is kind of solidified as far as we don't have anybody else out there with the lineup that Billy is trying to run. But as we mentioned earlier, once Lonzo gets back, do you see Kobe having the same amount of minutes?
Kobe won't be on this team.
No.
So
100% no.
So that's what I'm saying. Like
I said I was out on Kobe, but everything is not on Kobe.
I feel like you're talking about Kobe too much, actually. I feel like this conversation is going on way longer than it needs to.
It's like, you really have me in here defending Kobe, but I already said I am out on Kobe. He will be traded at the deadline.
I know. That's why I said we're on the same side here. Because I said he needs to be more consistent. You said he needs to be cut. Billy needs to be fired. So let's just go ahead and move on.
For the time being,
it's like one of those things where whatever we're doing right now is not working. Like not having any plays drawn up for him is not working for him, clearly. So while we have him, let's drop some plays and see if that works. If it doesn't work,
just let him dribble 1 or 2 times. 1 or 2 dribbles. That's it. 1 or 2 dribbles. You seen in preseason Andre Drummond, he was dribbling down the break and then he's walking into threes. And it's Andre Drummond, 3 for 3 from 3.
That man has ice in his veins.
Kobe right. Doesn't have ice because he got the chance to dribble.
Ice in his veins.
We have spoken about Kobe. But...
Yeah. All right. Enough about Kobe because we have to unfortunately go back to Pat. Because tomorrow is October 26th. And if people remember from last episode, that's Pat's brother's birthday. And he's challenged Pat to get a new career high tomorrow against the Pacers. It was points at first, but then he changed to any category. Me and John were talking about this after the game, like when we went to dinner. Pat's career high in assists is 4. I think Pat should aim for the assist.
He's had no assists this season.
He had 0 assists
No
for the whole season.
assists.
Exactly. 0.
Get 5, and you've made your brother's birthday wish come true.
We setting the bar real low.
What's
He's
his
not getting
career
36 points.
What's his career high for fouls? Maybe he can foul out.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Not the slander.
He can get 6 fouls maybe if he plays long enough. He's not aggressive though. He's not aggressive enough to foul.
I mean, Ben Simmons can foul out in 17 minutes, so yeah,
Hey,
apparently it's doable.
At least we don't have Ben Simmons in that albatross of the contract.
Yes.
Silver lining, always.
Yes.
Does it have to be assists? Like, can it be like blocks or something like
It can
that?
be any
Any category.
Yeah,
Mhm.
any category.
Any category. Yeah.
Technical fouls.
Has he had one? All he has to do is get
He's
one.
probably never had one.
All he has to do is get one.
You said we're setting the bar low.
I'm going
So,
with 6 fouls.
That's crazy.
like, his career high in points is 35. He's not getting that.
How about
No.
rebounds?
14, not
14.
getting.
No.
His average, side note, he's averaging lower than our guards this season. I know it's only 4 games, but he's averaging lower than like AC and Zach. I'm just saying.
For rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but see, that's like if you look at his, and I know it's been a short career, but when I went back and looked at his numbers, I'm like, dude does not rebound exceptionally well at all.
He shouldn't be
4.
averaging under our guards. I
Yeah.
don't care. As a power forward, you should not be averaging under any guard. I don't care.
But
how.
is
not a
that the
4.
problem? He's not a 4. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But even
he
so,
Right.
how's
He's
AP
a
catching
small
more-
forward.
Yeah, but rebounds are an energy stat. Like, dude, like the ball's in the air, go get the ball.
Exactly.
I mean,
He's
That's
running
amazing.
down court because Billy wants him
Pat-
to run.
Pat
Right.
is not running down the court. They're plenty of plays. You are not gonna sell me on Pat running anywhere. I know. I will. Fight
Okay,
you
he's
on that
not
one.
running, but he is not down low
Thank
to get a
you.
rebound because he knows the team is going to run. So he's at least above the 3-point line when that ball goes up because he's going to casually jog down while the other team is running. Okay, you're right. He's not running down the court.
At least we can agree on that one because he should average
Casually.
more rebounds. That's an energy. Rebounding is an energy stat, and I know that there have been plays where he has like successfully screened out his man so that Vooch can grab the rebound. But at the same instance, like you were saying, Caruso, Zach, Ayo, like they should not be averaging more rebounds than you. Like that's just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And they're supposed to be the ones who are either leading the fast break or running on the fast break. So it doesn't make any sense that he is not getting any rebounds whatsoever. Like it's an energy stat. You got to go get the ball.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Especially with his athleticism. Dude
Mhm.
has like what, a 6'11" and a half like wingspan. You're
Mhm.
6'8" almost. Go get the ball.
If he came in with the same intensity at his stature as Wu or DJJ,
We have no issue.
none. Energy and effort. I keep saying it. That's it. Energy and effort. Like it doesn't even have. It's like the intangibles. Like it's all we need. Just wake up. Wake up.
I mean, yeah, the stats can't get much worse. 0 assists. He's had 0 assists.
0 assists. Not
2.3
one.
rebounds. Oh, a half a block and a half a steal. 32% field
Wait.
goals.
Wait, how do you get a
20% 3-point field goal percentage.
What- yeah. What is
I
happening?
was like, how did he get a half a block and half a
Half a
steal?
block a game. Half a block a game.
Okay.
Half a steal a game. I'm going over his averages for this year. He's regressed quite a bit. Last year he shot 53%, albeit it was only 6 attempts, but still high percentage.
But you're like average, like how do you share a block rate? I don't understand that. Like, either
I
you
mean,
block the ball.
that means he
I mean-
got what, a block the first game and
Right.
block the fourth game.
Yeah.
So he's got 2
it's a
blocks and
half.
he's got 2 steals over 4 games. So it's half
Yeah,
of
it's a half.
each.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, you're a
Only Pat
teacher.
would come up with that kind of stat. Only Pat could make that stat actually work. I understand the concept, Derek. I'm just saying, like, how his numbers just don't make any sense to me. Like, they just don't. Like, and I understand that he hasn't, played. He didn't play at all pretty much last year. It's the beginning of the year now, but like you would think, at least like from his first year, he would have more rebounding percentages than that. Like, it just does not make any sense to me.
Yeah, and then even the worst stat is -9. He's a plus-minus -9. So on average, the Bulls are down 9 points when he's out there.
And that's why he's played less minutes than Javante and Derrick Jones Jr. in the last 2 games.
Well, and then on the contrary, Alex Caruso was plus 29 last night. Plus 29.
That's crazy. I
So-
think
Those guys play bigger than him. That's just the bottom line. Like, when Ayo's on the court, Ayo seems bigger, taller, stronger than Pat. Pat kind of just fades to the background. Javante, when he comes in, he feels like a player who plays up to a certain level as far as his height. Javante seems taller than me than what he actually is. But if you were to tell me that Pat has the measurements that he has, I would be shocked, because like if I was like the average fan just looking at him, because he does not play up to those measurements. So just energy.
He needs
Taller-
energy and he
to
needs
like respect himself.
confidence.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, same. It feels like he just doesn't respect his game, like himself. He doesn't respect himself.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to infuse some Dalen Terry in him, some
Exactly.
excitement.
Yeah.
He's like the opposite. He's like Dead Man Walking Dead sometimes. Just he looks dead.
And I still
But-
haven't
And
given up on him. Like, I'm saying mid-season, but he just needs, I don't know what it's gonna take, but he needs like a complete shift in his mindset. Like, his whole mentality is just, it's just so blah. Like, I need you to like be a dog, man. Like, it's just moping around and stuff. Like,
Even like last night, I got a glimpse of him on the bench. We're blowing the Celtics out. The whole bench is just all excited. The look on their faces, and P. Will's just like, it was like he's ready to go to bed. It's like, I mean, literally, like wow.
I'm curious as to what he listens to before like he gets in the game. Like, he seems like he listens to like Sarah
Beethoven.
McLachlan. Yeah, like, those
Yeah.
sad dog commercials with like the
Yeah.
woman singing Sarah McLachlan. I need him to like listen to somebody who's hype. Like,
Yeah, he's
Who
listening to
needs
some
closer?
violin music.
I want to know.
Man
who
is
you
listening to
suggest.
classical music.
Nothing
needs
wrong with
close-
that at bedtime. Not at game time.
What was MJ's hype? What was MJ's hype song? Wasn't it Aretha Franklin?
It was Anita Baker.
Anita Baker.
You're
that's-
Baker.
That's what he told Jim Brown after the shot over Elo in '89.
Uh-huh.
yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
I mean, you saw him on The Last Dance rocking out to Kenny Lattimore. And the way he's,
That's right.
there's
That
no
was-
way.
that was 9 years
It's like
later.
Kenny
That
Lattimore.
was 9 years later, though.
That's him saying I can do that in that mentality. That's just him being him. Like, I need for Pat to get some like walk up like bullpen closer music. Like, get some rock in there, Metallica, do something.
Metallica, yeah.
But the thing
Busta
is, like,
Rhymes, whatever.
you
when
guys
we talk
see-
to his brother, like that's just how he is. Like, that's just Pat. So like, what do we do? That's how his brother described him in the first place. He's just kind of like low key, and that's, I guess, kind of low energy in
I mean-
comparison to his brother Kobe. Like he
Tim
said,
Duncan was low key.
yeah.
He was effective.
Did
very
you
good.
guys see the clip of the Bulls at Six Flags, and the team is like trying to convince Pat to get on the roller coaster with the rest of the team?
Yeah, he said he was
And-
scared.
Yep.
Then they started like applauding and cheering once Pat was like, okay, and you see him walking towards the roller coaster. That's like,
Fitting.
yeah, because that's like game. We're like, Pat, come on, do something. Like he's starting and he's played less than Derek Jones Jr. and Javante in the last 2 games. So he's starting and playing like 16 minutes a game. John, you know who Pat is right now?
Pat?
Keith Bogans.
Yeah.
Pat Williams is Keith
He's
Bogans?
Keith Bogans right now.
But I remember Keith Bogans was, he was a solid starter. He at least he
For
hit
a
the
few
3 ball.
minutes.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
he
getting
was a
that.
And
good
then they
defensive
took him
stopper.
out.
Yeah.
Right, he was a good defensive stopper. I mean, he fit in as well very well. I could tell you this: he was a better starter than Patrick Williams. At least he was good at playing that Ron Harper role, kind of like shutting the guy down a little bit and hitting the 3. He was a 3-and-D guy.
It was just like Thibodeau refused not to start Keith Bogans, so he started every game. He played like maybe 5 minutes, and then you really
That's
didn't
true.
see him much anymore.
You didn't see him much more. Ronnie
Yeah,
Brewer,
that-
my
that-
all-time favorite bench mob player, who was on here a few weeks ago. Love that guy. He should have started.
Exactly. But for whatever reason, Tibbs stuck with Keith Bogans as the starter, even though he did not play starters minutes.
That's true. He did not. I don't know.
That's what
I
Pat
just
is
think-
right now.
He
I
did
just
okay
think
on
Keith Bogans and 62-20 and Eastern Conference champions or champions should have been Eastern Conference Finals.
I think to give some
He
some credit to
averaged
Pat. Go ahead.
Bogans averaged 17.8 minutes a game and 4.4 points. That is Pat right now.
Yeah, that's good actually. Yes. Let's see how many minutes Patrick is averaging. He's averaging 20.6. Yep, very good comparison. I don't know. I just think when I think Keith Bogans now, I just think Bruce Bowen, a poor man's Bruce Bowen.
He played okay on defense, though, to give him a little credit for in his.
Yeah, better than Patrick. Put more effort out there at least.
He averaged 1.8 rebounds. That is
he was-
Patrick Williams.
How many threes did he average since you're on him?
I don't know. It doesn't tell me that. I have to
It
go
doesn't?
deeper into
All right, let me
his
see.
Have you
stats.
guys given up on him though? Because I haven't. I just want to know how.
I haven't. I just
No.
he
We're
needs to
talking
come off the
about- we're
bench.
just talking about
He's a
right
different role.
now. We're
He
talking about
should
right
not
now.
be starting. He should
Yeah,
not be
shouldn't be
starting.
starting.
That's how I feel too. I feel the same.
And the Bulls have not a lot of credit is being given to this front office because a lot of people are like banging on Pat and whatever, but you realize like the Bulls have like kind of built a situation for the time being right now where they can put him on the bench and develop and they can still be just as effective. Like we're not in a position where we're relying on high draft picks in order to move this team forward. And I'm thankful. Like I don't care if none of our first round draft picks work out. If we get guys in here that can play and ball and be competitive and get into the playoffs and move this team forward from where they were just 3 years ago, where it was just it was kind of a bear talking about the Bulls sometimes. I'm happy. And they have that situation right now where they can kind of put the brakes on him just a little bit, allow him to clear his head, work
Mhm,
on his game,
mhm.
be more low key, and continue to develop. And if he doesn't develop, then get somebody else in there. But for right now, I don't know. Like they're really in that position where they need him to be that guy. So
Let me ask a question. Who should start? Javante Green, Derek Jones Jr., Alex Caruso. He can also play some power forward as well. Who do you start?
Woo.
Yep, I agree.
Same.
do you all ever see like a possibility where if Lonzo comes back at some point where Lonzo, like all of Lonzo, Ayo, DeMar, Levine, Vooch, like they're all playing together?
Yeah. Because Billy loves 3-guard lineups.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it happening.
Yeah, Ayo, Lonzo, Zach, DeMar, and Vooch.
Yeah, you
Because
got Zach at the 3 and DeMar at the 4. DeMar's played some 4 in San Antonio, so
Sure did. Put up great numbers doing that.
yeah, I could definitely see Billy running that lineup sometimes.
and I
I
don't
think
think
it would
that's
work.
a bad thing, you know. I don't know. I'm not out on Pat by any means, but like I'm not to the point where it's like Kobe, like where I'm like it's time to go.
Mhm.
You know, this relationship has run its course. It's not me, it's you, and it's time for us to go our separate ways. But you know, Pat still has some time, so like just allow him to develop.
Yeah, people
But
keep forgetting that. It's really like his second year, even though it's his third, and we barely played last year.
yeah,
First year of training camp.
You know, I think more than anything, what people are upset about and disappointed about with Patrick Williams is it's not even the fact that he's a number 4 draft pick. It's the fact that we've seen him in spurts. We've seen him in games where he has the ball in his hands and he's the focal point on offense, where he's got the capability of putting up 35 points. That's the thing that's just very disappointing. He's got the talent. I mean, he goes to a lower echelon team, a team that's not going to make the playoffs, and he's the number 1 scorer. He can average 20, 22 a game, easy.
Like Laurie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Except
like
Laurie's on a playoff team.
yeah,
I
but
don't know if Patrick Williams could do that on a playoff team. I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of Laurie and Saxon's team right now, so
Well, as much as I used to rag on Laurie, Laurie was head and shoulders better than Patrick Williams is. He was never. I mean, even in his worst year with Jim Boylan, Meathead Man, he was better.
that's not saying anything that's like incorrect because we have actual moments of Laurie doing something for a month's time. Like we keep talking about this, like what Patrick has done. He scored the career high versus a team that also was playing backups. So
That is true.
You know, we all like for everybody who was like pointing, oh look at that, like what he was putting up. You know, none of the starters were playing on that team, so it took none of the
That's true.
starters.
they had one starter out.
So it's
They were missing one starter, Justin.
Was
their
it only
starters
one
played that
starter?
game.
Are you sure
Yeah.
it was
It
just
was only one. Okay.
Yeah, they were only
'Cause
missing
I
one starter.
remember against Minnesota?
But
Who was-
remember,
I thought it was like a bunch of their guys that were out.
Nope.
Or was it like the scenario where like it wasn't like that? Because it was like what the last game of
It was the
the
last game
it
of the season.
was the last game.
and
Well, I think the
okay, I
game
guess
that
I'll
I
give
remember
him that he went out and balled in the last game of the year versus when everything had already been decided.
well, game
And
5 of the
there was
playoffs,
no-
he had 20 points. Did he not? Game
Yep.
5, right? Against Milwaukee. Against Giannis.
When the
Yeah.
majority of our starters were out and when Chris Middleton was hurt and that's
Well, Zach LaVine was out that
like,
game.
Zach was out. No Lonzo. AC was
Right.
out.
so that's why I'm like, we got to like just pump the brakes on what we think that he can actually do because he hasn't done anything consistent as of yet. I mean, we're still talking about him out getting rebounded by our guards. So
It's us calling him baby Kawhi last year.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was on Stacy.
yeah, that's what I was about to say.
The
Thanks,
paw. The paw. Yep.
I think he'll develop though. I really do. I really do have faith in him. Like no joke. I really do have faith in him. But off the bench.
Yeah.
Okay,
off the
5 years from now, what's Patrick Williams? Mel. 5 years from now.
That's too
20
far.
points.
Where's he
That's
at? Is he still here?
Yeah, that's like way too far. Like 5 years.
When he's in his prime. When he's in his prime is what I'm saying. When he's in his prime, at his best.
Oh.
But where is he at? Is he still on the Bulls or is he somewhere else?
Well, if he's not on the Bulls, then I don't care. I don't think anybody does, right? On this podcast.
Nothing but bull.
I
Nothing
mean,
but bull.
I'm just saying, you see how Wendell's better off.
We were saying that Ayo and Pat were going to be the future of the Bulls. last year.
Io's the future of the Bulls.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we can keep him.
Dalen is the
I
future of the
know.
Bulls.
We gotta
He's
pay
going to
him.
be a free agent. We got to pay him. We got to show him the
gotta pay
money.
him.
Yeah.
He's going to be a free agent this coming summer.
His value.
Kobe didn't get an extension. Why? Because they got to pay Io.
Exactly.
Io's the future of the Bulls. Dalen Terry is the future of the Bulls. The jury's out on Pat.
I want to wait till like mid-season to make any crazy predictions. Not everybody develops at the same rate. And again, he barely played last year. We see potential. Everything we talk about is always potential. We see what he can do, and nothing's consistent. We see how athletic he is and his build. But most of it is just, I think it's like 90% mental with him, if not even like 95% mental with him. And I don't know how to adjust that. I don't know how he's going to adjust that. Like, that's something he's got to find within himself. If like getting benched wasn't enough, and I know we've already talked about that, but like if getting benched wasn't enough for you to wake up and be like, damn.
Maybe that's what he wants.
Yeah. I think it is. It doesn't seem like he's working well under all this pressure that everybody's putting on him as fans. And I don't know. He doesn't seem like he works well under pressure. I think he has to take the back seat for a little bit and build that confidence. It's not for everybody. Not everybody is I'll prove you wrong type of mentality.
So let's speak it into existence then.
Yeah.
Starting tomorrow, it's going to be 5 Javantes out there in the starting lineup.
That last game for Pat, the starters did not play most of the game.
They were there though. You said they were out. I said they played their team. They played their starters and they played their rotational bench guys. They weren't playing like their third string or anything.
15 minutes for the majority of their guys. But that's where I'm like, we don't know what Pat is going to be. Look, when we think about it, look at Zach. Zach came from Minnesota. Did we think that Zach was going to turn into what he is right now based off of his career path in Minnesota? Like, who really turns out to be anybody who's worthwhile in Minnesota, aside from the guys who are coming right now, like with Anthony Edwards? Maybe we don't really know if Anthony Edwards is necessarily a star yet. Carl Anthony, has he been responsible for like a big, huge turnaround for Minnesota yet? So like we don't know where these guys are going to end up. So it's kind of hard to like kind of project that, especially for a guy who hasn't even played 2 years in the NBA yet. It's just kind of hard. I hope he pulls it together because, he's, from what people say, the team loves him. A lot of guys have tried taking him under their wing, and, he spent all of that time with DeMar over the offseason. I'd like to see a lot of the work actually start to come out with his game, but it's kind of hard to project.
If it was anything that I wanted him to take from DeMar, it would be like his mentality. Like,
yes,
that dog, like that's it. If that's the only thing we wanted him to take away from it, that whole offseason with DeMar, it's that. And unfortunately, I don't see it. And we asked his brother about that too. Like, did he even and granted, he might have just not talked to his brother about it, but like, did he talk about how the offseason went? It's like, oh, what did he say? Like, he just talked about having to wake up early. I think that was the only comment that Pat had for his brother in regards to the offseason with DeMar. Like, I would be like, dang, I learned this, and he really got in my head and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But just, and maybe they just don't talk as much, but that was like the only comment was just about waking up early.
He said, getting Pat to answer a phone is kind of hard. And, DeMar has asked what player's teammate is going to ignore the group text, and he said Pat. So Pat, it's kind of hard to reach Pat, I assume. But Justin, you are banned from making comparisons because Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man, is leaps and bounds better than Patrick Williams.
I wasn't comparing him to Patrick Williams. I was saying we don't know about these guys and being stars yet.
Anthony Edwards is a star already.
Based off of what?
Did you not watch the playoffs last year?
I watched the playoffs. There were people who showed out in the bubble playoffs. Yeah, I wouldn't.
No, we're not talking about the bubble. This was not the bubble.
Hold on, I
Well,
gotta get
when
my
I'm talking
popcorn.
about stars, I mean like a guy who is affecting winning on a nightly basis. I haven't seen that. And I'm just saying that from my standpoint. I have not seen Anthony Edwards play like that. So I don't know about like him and his effect for that team as far as affecting winning. He's a nice
He
young player that
affects
has a lot of
winning.
talent.
He affects
But-
winning. that's all I'm gonna say. He affects winning. They got into the playoffs largely because of Anthony Edwards. They did well enough for their first time in the playoffs because of Anthony Edwards. It was not Carl Anthony Towns that was carrying them. It was Ant-Man. That's why
never
he has a nickname. He's the Ant-Man.
I never
it's
said that it was.
It is
Carl Anthony
largely respected.
everybody. And I was not comparing them. I'm saying we are very quick, and this is like from like especially in sports, we are very quick to anoint people, and then when they don't meet up to our expectations of what we put on them, then we're also very quick to tear them down. That's why I'm like, I am not going to say that somebody is like a bona fide star. People have been saying about like Zion. Zion is an incredible talent for the NBA. I don't trust Zion to get through an entire NBA season. And that team last year made the playoffs without him. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just as far as anointing people as stars before we actually see like at least a good 3-4 years from that player and watching their development. That's all I'm saying. I was not comparing Patrick Williams to Anthony Edwards. I think you'd be crazy to compare them because there is no comparison for that.
I'm like, Edwards, in the first 2 games they played the season, had 30 points in both games.
Not bad.
He's for his career, which is 2020 to 2022, he's averaging 20.3 points on 42.9 field goal percentage.
Yeah, what's his player efficiency rating? There's a lot of people who average a bunch of points that, you know, when they come out in the very beginning. I'm just saying I'm not quick to anoint somebody as a star without them like seeing a full body of work. That's my point. I'm not saying that he's a bad player and that he's not talented. He's very talented.
He affects winning. It was my point.
Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it, but
As long as we don't go from Kobe to CP3.
no, we're not. We're not going back to Kobe.
Kobe to CP3.
it's just, you know, Ant has it. He has that mentality that Patrick does not. He already has that mentality that I'm the man. This is my team. He affects winning. Like
Derek,
I can't put it better than that.
Is it talented? But his career player efficiency rating is 15.1. His rating right now is 11.2. Like that, I'm not saying he's not a talented player. I think we can all agree that he's a talented player. But, you know, I'm not going to anoint anybody from just off of those numbers right there. Like, how are you doing it effectively?
They would not win without him. That's how. That's just all I'm saying. Like, it's his team. It's not Anthony Edwards' team. I mean, it's Anthony Edwards' team. It's not Carl Anthony Towns' team anymore.
Yeah, that's not saying much for me because I'm not a big Carl Anthony Towns fan myself. But you realize that like Ayo's player efficiency rating is bigger than Anthony Edwards right now. That's all I'm saying. Like I just want to pump the brakes before we like anoint people as stars that affect winning. That's all I'm saying. Don't hide your face, Melissa.
I
part of
bowed, I bowed out of the conversation, eating my popcorn.
Anyway,
So yeah, we have the Pacers tomorrow and Pat's challenge.
So what's the stat then? It's gonna be assist. It has to be assist.
It has to be assist.
technical fouls.
I don't think Ed's gonna count that. He's got to go for assist. How do you not have one assist and you're playing with DeMar DeRozan and Vooch? I'm not going to count Zach because he missed 2. So you couldn't have been the guy to throw the ball into Vooch for an assist.
That's probably the most attainable thing. We maybe need to change that to season high and get 1 assist. That's probably the most attainable.
You guys are bad. Give that man time to develop.
I said midseason. I think midseason is a good enough gauge. See where he's at.
I said let him develop off the bench, but right now we're
Yes.
talking about what his brother is challenging him to do tomorrow.
I feel bad because I picked those brothers over the Ball brothers. It's making me rethink my.
You were the only one. And Alba, because Alba is a huge Patrick Williams fan. So you guys were the only two to choose the Williams brothers over the Ball brothers.
Hey, I should be able to take, if you're a bona fide NBA player, I should be able to take you being healthy over somebody who doesn't have like a healthy leg yet. So
He said when healthy.
He said when
when
healthy.
everybody's healthy.
When everybody's
when-
healthy. Meaning you have Lonzo,
Bet.
LaMelo, and Jello.
I should be able to take Jello. Like, come on. You're going up against two and a half people.
And Ed hurt himself.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one.
Mhm.
That's my
Never,
bad. I don't know why.
never seen Ed play. I haven't seen Kobe play,
Me
but Jello has been signed to the Hornets in the G League Hornets. Kobe is overseas, and as Ed said, hopefully next year he's a part of the Windy City Bulls. But right now, you're looking at advantage Ball for being experienced to the 3 of them to make it to pretty much the NBA level.
I was going off of potential.
That's bad relationship advice.
I laugh because
Yeah,
it's
but
true.
more of a modern notoriety. The Pacers game is tomorrow, so we got to stick to what's current, what's modern. We got the Pacers, then we have the Spurs and the Sixers.
Oh boy. It's off the rails. Melissa's throwing popcorn.
She's
You really did that?
pulling her best Benny.
This is what you came on for, John.
I'm going 3-0 Bulls. Because after
3-0.
once Sunday morning, we'll be 5-2. I'm gonna get next 3.
Justin, how are you feeling about that? 3-0?
Nah, I don't know about that. Are we going off of my my potential picks like I did with the with the brothers? I don't know. You said it's the Pacers and who else?
We play the Pacers, the Spurs, and then the Sixers on a back-to-back.
Mm.
Oh, like the Spurs are failing at like tanking right now. So, um, I don't know if they win against Philly. Philly is always in the Bulls' heads for whatever reason.
That was last year, not this year. You got
Philly is 1-3 right now.
yeah. Indiana's 1-2.
Spurs are
The best record.
in 1. They have the best record out of the teams that we're going to play.
What are the Spurs at?
They're 3-1
They're failing.
at tanking. Yeah.
I'll have to put an end to that.
Mel looks astonished. They're 3-1.
So is Utah, right?
Yeah. They lost their last game, right?
Yeah, they lost that was their first game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and Laurie didn't go off when everybody was like, "Oh, look at Laurie! The Jazz are 3-0, and look how Laurie's doing." Then he scores like what 14 points, and we're like, February Laurie peaked early this year, huh?
I say 2-1. What you got, Mel?
I'll go 2-1 too.
So are you guys saying we're going to lose to the Sixers again?
Maybe to the Spurs.
Mel says we're going to lose to the Spurs and beat the Pacers and the Sixers. That would be a Bulls thing to do.
That's what I'm saying. Like based off of like us beating Miami
But
and Boston.
because we play tomorrow at home, play the Spurs in Texas, and come back the next day in Chicago for the Sixers.
Yep. And you got to figure it like Zach's probably going to sit.
He's going to sit that Spurs game probably.
You think it'll be the Spurs game?
Yeah. I mean, I would want him against the Sixers. The Sixers have what? Beat us 12 times in a row now? We haven't beat them with Embiid. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to change. Saturday.
Hopefully.
I mean, we beat Boston. We beat Miami. Asterisk to the loss on the Wizards. We really should be 3-1.
It's true.
But yeah, we were 2-14 against the top teams in the league last year. We've already beat Boston and Miami, who were both in the Eastern Conference Finals. Three and 0.
Yep.
Ooh,
3-0.
3-0.
spicy. Not me being the one that's the most positive today. That guy brought me down, you know. I hope you're listening.
Nobody really understood that. That was an inside thing, man.
We don't have to. Let's leave it inside.
So yeah, I got 3-0, John's got 3-0, Mel and Justin are going with 2-1. We'll see if Pat can get some assists tomorrow.
One.
Hey,
One assist to Kobe.
who can take a couple dribbles and
Yes.
I'm telling you now, when
Full
we
circle.
trade Kobe and we play him and they use him in the right
Oh,
way, and he lights us up.
Oh, he's gonna light
That's
us up.
exactly what's gonna happen. You already
Yeah.
know.
You're like, see, Justin. The man just needed to dribble a little bit.
I just wish that they would be able to see Justin's face right now because the audio's not on. But say something so the viewers can see your face.
I can't remember the last time Kobe has lit anything up. So
Rookie year versus the Knicks in the fourth quarter, I guess. And he scored what, 23? I think it was.
Is
If-
that the
if-
game Roy Williams was in?
Yes.
oh yes.
Here we go.
If you want to trade, if you want to find some takers for that, like some team that's holding on to Kobe being able to light somebody up, go for it.
But yeah, we'll continue, bringing fellow members of Bulls Nation on with us. John, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for
Always great.
for sure. Wait, can
Thanks
I
for
ask? Do you guys think we're
coming on.
gonna do as good on rebounds against these other lineups? Real quick. Hello.
Huh? What are we
I
doing?
said,
What was that?
I said, do you guys think, real quick before we end, do you think we're gonna do as good at rebounds against these next three teams as we did against the Celtics, considering the lineup? I'm just curious.
Philly is gonna be
Except for Curry.
that's gonna be close.
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine against the Pacers. Miles Turner still doesn't play. And I don't understand how he sprained his foot with landing on a ball boy's foot before the game, and he's been out. Like, and Bulls Nation, you guys wanted us to trade for that man. He's
Mhm.
getting hurt jumping around with a ball boy
It reminds me of Carlos Boozer in 2010, right?
when he tripped over the suitcase.
Tripped over his
Broke
suitcase
his
at his
step.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one believed that story.
Oh, it happened. Trust me. I believe that story. Boozer most definitely tripped.
He was probably doing the hey, grab it, Joe. That was
No,
one thing about Boozer,
he was
man.
trying to put that shoe polish on his head and
There
then
you
drip on the
go.
floor,
Goodness.
and boom.
Why?
Oh,
Why did
was
that
a-
even? Why was that a thing? Like, who
I'll never
told
forget-
them? Who told him? Like, who okayed that? Does he not have any Does he not have any real friends? Like, I would never let. I would never let anybody go out like that.
Yeah, that was a Sunday afternoon game on ABC. They were playing the Celtics. I remember that.
We were shiny. Looked like a bowling
Yes.
ball.
That looked nuts.
That's what we're
Nuts.
Joe. Do you have any friends?
Mill was real upset. Like, where are your friends?
For real. Who let him go down like that? That's why you
All right,
need
well-
you got real people in your corner.
So, being Scratch Boozer ever appearing on the
Yeah,
show off the list.
you.
Like, Boozer's off, Kobe's off,
You have to edit that one out.
Pat's off.
Derek.
We didn't say anything bad. I mean, we just kept it real, you know.
Edit that one out there.
I'll give Carlos Boozer this. He's definitely the loudest player in Bulls history. You could hear him louder than the fans. Anytime someone would shoot, he was telling Joe to grab that rebound.
Hmm.
Get it, Joe.
Maybe
Hey!
Dalen taking over for that. Cut
Yeah.
to the basket, Pat.
Sorry.
The fact that Dalen Terry was on the bench yelling at Patrick to cut to the basket.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, Pat's off the list. Kobe, Boozer. We give
You just edit that last part out.
we give Ben Gordon some bail money, maybe he'll come.
Oh, wow. And he's eliminated too now.
What's the emoji for shots fired?
It's the water gun.
The water gun.
Jeez, Derek. We gotta have somebody come.
He said bail money, man. Wow.
And just like that, we never had another guest.
Do
gotta
we
get
have
Dennis-
an emoji for a
Dennis
burning
Rodman.
bridge? But yes, going back to records, I think that San Antonio will probably be load managing their entire roster. So, we got
Because they have to get under 500 like quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll catch you guys next week.
Cool.
Until then, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
He read till the deathbed.
Sir.
Then it's game over. The horn blows.